KY, don't you love this new studio they have for us?
It sure beats our last studio that was on the airboat. It was pretty hard to hear our show. Why don't we take our first call?
Yes? Ruth, you are on the air with KY and the Preacher.
Hello. First-time caller, long-time listener. I've got a question about those command thingies. There is that whole story about a golden calf, and I think Moses was just being mean. How dare he destroy that pretty golden calf? It wasn't hurting anyone. Why doesn't God punish Moses? And I will take my answer off the air.
Thanks for the call, Ruth. Well, you see, Ruth, Moses was trying to protect the 10 Commandments for his people. So really, Moses didn't do anything horribly wrong.
That's right, KY. You see, the first commandment tells us that we should put God first. That means we shouldn't put anything else before God. Not even a golden calf.
Although chocolate-covered Bambi cake can be put before God.
No, KY, nothing should be in front of God in our lives. Not even the delicious chocolate-covered Bambi cake.
Well, these commandments are tough.
Yes, but when the first commandment is fulfilled, keeping the others will follow. All the other commandments flow from the first. We put trust in God and we see God holds it all.
But what about the second commandment? How does putting God first help us with not taking the Lord's name in vain?
Knowing God's name is a big deal.
It is.
Yes, you see, a name allows us to communicate with each other. So knowing God's name helps us call out to God. You can approach God, which changes our relationship with God. So using God's name inappropriately is like stealing God's name and using it outside of love, which is what God is all about. It harms God. After all, God has entrusted this name to us.
Wow, so knowing God's name really shows how much God loves us and wants to be connected to us.
Exactly, KY, that is what all of the commandments are about. God loving us. That is why the first commandment is so important. God has given us instructions to follow that will allow us to live as God intended. If we trust God and follow the first commandment, this will all be so.
But that is easier said than done.
That's right. And that is why we need Jesus. Jesus' death and resurrection has allowed us to accomplish this even though we fail. God still loves us and showed us that through Jesus.
Oh no, but what about the people who don't know God's right name? There are all those people who think God's name is spelled G-O-D.
KY, that is why we have this show. Every week we are teaching more people that God's true name is spelled G-A-W-W-W-D.
Boy, Preacher, we sure are doing God's work. Now where is that chocolate-covered Bambi cake?